Love was a really interesting band for this time because it had interracial membership, which was unusual at that time. What were some of the issues that you guys confronted because of that?
Oh goodness, there were places that we couldn't play. Like we basically were an East Coast or West Coast group because many parts of this country we just weren't able to play. The South, especially, because what was going on at the time, the civil rights movement, the anti-war demonstrations, all these things were happening. And here's a bunch of race mixing California hippies, and they were not about to deal with us. So it was kind of rough getting gigs, except as I say, we could play in New York and Chicago and Detroit and all of California, but anywhere in between, it was rough.
Now, you guys actually introduced the Doors to Elektra Record, right?
Yes, we did. Yeah, that was the mistake of my life, I think.
Explain why. It's in the documentary. But
Because we had gotten a really spectacular offer from MCA to switch from Elektra to MCA. And they weren't going to let us go because we were our ticket into the game. So we thought, well, if we hook them up with the Doors, they may let us go, which of course they didn't. But anyway, we had Jack Holzman come down and hear the Doors. The first time he didn't like them at all, but he came back again and saw them and understood what everybody else saw. And so they signed the Doors. And then all of the promotional money and impetus that was going to promote Love was now used to promote the Doors. So we basically shot ourselves in the foot by that move. But the Doors were our great friends. Jim Morrison was a wonderful friend until he passed. So we had no animus toward them.
what will you remember most about Jim Morrison? Like, was there a moment or something that stands
Well,
out to you?
it's not a very attractive image, but I remember Jim used to always hang out, and sometimes uh, he was hang outside of our houses. So I remember one time leaving and tripping over Jim Morrison, who was sleeping in my doorway. So this is this big, huge rock star, and if people had seen him back then, it's just it would have been amazing to see Jim Morrison pass out on the floor.
One thing that was interesting to me is you talk about your relationship with Little Richard a little bit in the documentary. And obviously, he's just passed away in the last week or so. What will you remember most about working with Little Richard?
About the advice he gave us. He was a really warm, very, very intelligent man. And he knew a lot about self promoting, which he did all of the time. But when you talk to him just one to one, he was a very serious, very intellectual man and a very spiritual man. So I just loved Little Richard. He was just one of a kind.
Yeah,
We miss him dearly.
yeah. For you, what was the standout moment for you of this period of working in the Laurel Canyon area and that whole community that existed there?
Well, it was just all of the musicians, meeting all of these people, in one little area and being neighbors with so many different musicians. It was just amazing. And the because of that, being together with people that you saw every day and making music with these people, you had a friendly, warm kind of rivalry going, and that pushed the envelope. Just because we were neighbors and friends, everybody wanted to outdo the other group. The next album would be a little bit better than the one before. And so that was kind of gave everybody that little push.
Yeah.
And,
How did you very first get into music that led you to group up with Love?
well, I started music when I was about 8 years old, and there was a show and tell in elementary school. And the gentleman gave me his guitar to hold while he went to see the nurse, and I strummed it and fell in love. And Billy Preston was also a classmate, but he was already starting to make noise as a gospel musician. And we started our first group. So it was me, Billy Preston, Henry Vestine at the Canned Heat, and John Fleckenstein, who was of the Standells. Anyway, we had the first group before Love, the precursor to Love. And we traveled around and we played weddings and funerals and bar mitzvahs and we just had a grand old time, and we were kids. Used to pencil in a mustache because I was at that point 15, and we'd be playing at adult clubs, and of course they knew, but they said as long as we stayed away from the bar, we'd be okay. So yeah, we played the Chitlin circuit, as so to speak, than what they called it back in the day, and we were the backup band at the California Club. That's Billy and me. Then we met Jimi Hendrix there. So Jimi Hendrix, myself, Henry Vestine, and we were the backup group for B.B. King, Z.Z. Hill, and all these people that came there. So we had an interesting experience.